Hey everyone, welcome to another video for Maple Insights. My name is Marks and I am going to walk you through how to use Maple in making your financial information more private while working with AI. Now, many people like to use ChatGPT, Grok, or other tools because one, they're really popular, but they're also very usable. And if we are trying to maintain privacy in our life, it can be difficult when working with these tools. Because these tools effectively want to learn as much as they can about us. They have their own motivations for that. Some of them are financial, some of them are to make the tools better, some of them are to make the tools more usable for the features that they're building. So they have lots of reasons, but there are reasons why you as a user might want to make your financial information more private so that you are only selectively letting the tools know more about you. Well, the great thing with Maple is that we don't keep track of your financial information. Only you are the one who has access to that data. So as we build out features, they can leverage your personal information, but we don't see it and we don't train on it. We don't sell your information or share your information with anybody. So Maple is a great place to have some of these deep conversations about your financial life because that is a topic that is very personal to you and your situation is 100% unique from every other person's financial situation out there. Yes, there are best practices. Yes, there are trends and things that maybe you should follow and general guidelines that you should follow to increase your chances of success when it comes to finances. And that's what AI is here to help with. It can take all of that built up knowledge and then work on your personal information to provide recommendations for you. Maple is not a financial expert, is not a financial planner, it is not a lawyer, but it is able to read the world's knowledge and try and share with you and apply it to your personal life. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're actually going to migrate our financial information out of ChatGPT and into Maple. And you might ask like, well, what does ChatGPT actually know about me and my finances? Over time, as you have asked different questions here and there in your history, you might not be realizing it, but ChatGPT has been saving all of that and recording it. In fact, in this last month, they launched a full memory feature, and I know that Grok is doing this as well, where it is going to keep track of all of your conversations. It used to be limited on what it could keep track of, but now it's doing it all. So ChatGPT actually knows quite a bit about you, depending on how much you have shared, and they might bring it up later in conversations without you realizing it. Now, this can be great from a feature standpoint, but it is also concerning from a privacy standpoint. So let's do this. I actually went into ChatGPT, and I'm using AI to help me form a prompt that I can use to extract all of my financial information out of here so that I can then import it into Maple. So I started by just being simple, right? Make me a prompt I can use to extract all the financial knowledge you know about me. This is a very simple one-line prompt and is probably not going to get me as far as I want to, which is generally how people start with AI. But it's very important to build detailed prompts so that you can get the AI to do exactly what you're looking for. And sometimes, well, actually usually, it thinks of things that you didn't think of. So that's why I like to use AI to help me generate prompts for AI. Now, I could have used Maple for this, but because I was already in ChatGPT to export my data, I just went ahead and used it to generate this prompt. So you could use either tool for that. So it gave me this thing here that is going to, tell it, hey, you are ChatGPT and you have access to every message that I've done. I want you to, find all the financial facts that you know about me and then output it into a bullet point list. So that's a great start. But then I read through this and thought, well, I want this to be better. We can make this better, right? Well, one, it doesn't need to say that you are ChatGPT. It can be genericized for any LLM out there. I also want it to take advantage of any tools that it might have access to. AI and LLM tool or LLM products can use other AI agents or other AI tools or really just web tools in general to access information. And so if I have given the AI access to a tool that has financial information, I want it to kind of go down that path as well and find out that information. So that's what I'm going to ask it to do as well. And then instead of outputting a bullet point list, I actually want it to generate another prompt. This is a prompt that is effectively like an export, if you will. So that's what I do here. I tell it to, get rid of the ChatGPT, make it a generic thing. Also make sure it takes advantage of any memory features that it has or any tools it has access to. And then I say, for the output of the prompt, I would like it to output another prompt that I could just copy and paste into a different LLM and have it understand all of my financial information. So effectively an export, right? Now it went and thought for 23 seconds and it output something much more detailed. Look at this prompt. This is getting pretty cool here, right? So it says, task 1, financial extraction. So go through, traverse all of, it says use your long-term memory and any retrieval tools you have, the user's profile. ChatGPT is building a profile on you, by the way. Use all of those, including like vector memory stores and that kind of stuff. Extract all the financial information out of there. So similar to what it was doing above, like build that financial export and then turn it into a prompt. Make it a prompt that I could use and copy somewhere else. So it does that, right? And outputs that. And after reading through that, I ran it in ChatGPT. Now, because I'm more privacy minded, I have not actually given ChatGPT very much of my financial information. However, I have used it once or twice for some small tasks I was doing with work. I use Maple primarily for business things, but I used ChatGPT a couple of times and it found those and pulled them out. And so I had to adjust the prompt one more time because I don't want it to do use my business things. I want this to be focused on my personal finances. I'm thinking me as an individual or as part of a family, I want to focus on personal finance. So I told it that I don't want to include finances related to any businesses that I'm running. So I did that, thought for 11 seconds, and it created a new prompt. And it added this thing here, which is a great thing for you when you're designing your own prompts. Exclude anything tied to a business that I own, manage, or invest in, such as corporate budgets, revenue, funding terms, valuations, or ad spend paid from company accounts. So this is a bit of a side note, but when you're building a prompt, you want to tell all the things you would like it to do, the data sources that it should pull from if possible. And then it's also great to tell it things that it should exclude because AI is going to go out and find everything that it can, and it can't read your mind, can't read your brain and think, well, this is what the person wants, right? So you can tell it, exclude these things. Then you give it the format that you want it to follow and that kind of stuff because that's also important. Okay, so I have this new prompt. I don't want to copy that one. I actually want to copy up here. And now let's do a new thing. ChatGPT gives me all these different models to pull from. I'm just going to use O3 because it's supposed to be the best right now. So, well, I guess O4. Yeah, I don't have access to full O4. All right, so I'm just going to paste that in and hit go. So here's my prompt that I gave it that it generated for me. Again, I could have used Maple to generate this part of it, but I'm already in here. So it is thinking. And what it's doing now is it's going to show me that here. So extracting and consolidating personal finance information. The user's request is clear. Extract personal finance data from memory and conversation logs. So it's going to go through and it's looking at the profile that is built on me. What is the profile? The profile is as if you were, let's say that you were interviewing someone, right? Maybe you've done this for a class before, like when you were growing up. Maybe you still are growing up. That's cool, but you had to go out and interview somebody. And so you start writing down all the stuff that you've learned over the course of all these interviews. And you have to write a paper on this person. You're going to include all the stuff from your interviews that you think are important for people to understand who is this person. It's like a Wikipedia page, if you will, of that person. That's what ChatGPT is doing. They're building a personal Wikipedia page, a profile about you and everything that they've learned that is important. So if you have 10 chats, right, about movies that you like, and in those chats, you mention a few times, this is my #1 top movie of all time that I love. They're going to write that down in your profile and be like, this is Mark's. He really loves this film, right? Okay. So it went out and thought about me. It looked at my profile. It used any other tools that I've connected. I haven't connected any finance tools, but let's say that I connected, somehow connected my stock portfolio of any stocks that I own to ChatGPT. I personally wouldn't do that, but let's say that it did and that you did. Then it would be able to pull those as well. Okay, now just for sake of this discussion in this video, I actually fed ChatGPT with a bunch of fake information about me, salary information, monthly budget information, things that I spend on mortgage, that kind of stuff. So that when I did this, I would actually have some information that I pulled out. So these are not my real finances, or maybe they are. So this is information that I fed to it so that it would be able to pull out here. Thought for 38 seconds. It found information about my salary, and this is where it's stored. It found information about my personal monthly budget, how much I have in a 401k, how much I have in the stock market, mortgage payments, property tax. Okay, so it's just going on and on. Utility payments, groceries that I spend, auto insurance, credit card payments that I'm making. There's a lot of good stuff in here, right? And a lot of creepy stuff in here. If you've been using ChatGPT to really to leverage it for how awesome it is, and how functional it is, I should say, then it's going to have a lot of information about you. Maple can also give you a lot of that functionality, but with the privacy. So now that I have it, it has created this JSON formatted list. JSON is simply just a way for formatting data so that computers can understand it better. And so here I have this. Let's see, transfer. You are an AI assistant that needs to store my personal finance facts so future answers remain consistent. Please ingest and remember the following JSON payload. JSON payload means the following data that you can read in your format that you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. We'll see if this copies well. If it doesn't, I'll do it in a different way. Okay, so let me paste it into here. Let's see. Looks like it did copy the JSON just fine. Okay, so now that I'm in Maple, I've taken my export and I'm importing it into Maple. Okay, I've successfully ingested it and stored it. It has all my information. Look at this. This is cool. Okay, so now it knows everything about me. Quick little tip about Maple. Right now, Maple does not have the full memory feature that ChatGPT does. So if I open up my history and show you, here's all the things I've been chatting about, right? Each of these chats are an island by themselves. They don't know anything about the other chats. Whereas in ChatGPT, if I open to my history, it would know all the stuff going on in the other chats. And so when I start talking, it will be able to reference those. There are pros and cons to that approach, but that is effectively what the memory feature is. Not 100%, but more or less that's what the memory feature does. We are looking at adding a memory feature into Maple in the future that will behave similarly, but has the complete privacy that you expect out of Maple so that it will know you, but we won't. So that being said, for now, any of my personal finance information that I want to discuss is going to happen within this chat because it has this. Now, if I want to start a new chat, I simply just copy and paste this prompt right here and put it into a new chat. Or when I get done at the end of this chat, I can actually copy and paste that original prompt, right? I could copy and paste that original prompt into here and grab any new information that I have given Maple, and it will export that so I can put it into a new chat. Okay, so that's just something to know, because as this chat gets long, it's going to start using more and more of my credits and can get pricey, and I could run out of credits soon. So I want to make sure that I'm aware of that, right? Click this thing and it shows my credit usage. Right now I'm really low, but as this gets longer, it's going to use up more of it. So now that I have this, what are some things that we want to know, right? I actually asked Maple, what are some things that I should know about personal finances? Okay, so we can ask it budgeting questions, right? I can say, I received a 3% raise at work. What are some ways I can improve my financial health? Okay, let me move this out of the way. You can't see this, but I can. It's my camera. That's it, go. So because it knows about my monthly budgets, it can make a recommendation for me. Congrats on the 3% raise. It's making a recommendation that I boost up my emergency fund savings so I can put my money into savings. It even says how much I'm allocating every month to my emergency fund. With the raise, you could consider increasing the amount to build more substantial safety nets. Aim for 3 to 6 months. Or I could focus on paying off high interest debt. It looks at my credit card payment that I have. Boost my retirement savings with my 401k. Invest in a tax advantaged account. So I'm currently doing stock trading. It's recommending maybe I look into an IRA. This is all, by the way, focused in the United States. If you live in a different jurisdiction, a different country, look into what you can do there. And you can tell Maple, by the way, what country you live in so that it can focus on that area. Adjusting your budget. So it's making other recommendations as well. Cool. Okay. Let's look at another question. What else can I ask it? One of my favorites is retirement planning. I feel like this is super important, and people will pay a lot of money to a financial planner or a financial advisor to make sure that they are set up for retirement. So whether you want to retire at 70, 60, 50, 40, pick your age and craft your plan for that, time. So I'm going to ask it about retirement. In order for it to have a better idea, I'm going to tell it I am 27 years old. Look at the beard. I'm lying to it right now. I am 27 years old. I would like to retire at 60. What recommendations do you have? If I could type, recommendations do you have for retirement? How much do I need to save? I plan on getting married and having a few children. Go. So retire at 60, support yourself and your future family, maintain a comfortable lifestyle. So it talks about the goals. I didn't tell it what my goals are. I mean, I did kind of say a few things about myself, but AI understands that really to have any good, fruitful conversation, you should state up front what your goals are, what your objectives are, right? So now it's making some assumptions that I need to live for another 25 to 30 years so I can be like 85 or 90, which seems reasonable based on where I live. Hopefully I do live that long, maybe longer. And maintain a similar standard of living, account for inflation, which can erode the purchasing power of your retirement savings. Let's read that again. You'll need to account for inflation, which can erode the purchasing power of your retirement savings over time. Maybe look into, this is a side note, maybe look into some assets that you can buy today very easily that will fight against inflation. Okay, retirement savings estimate. So it goes in and now it's going to explain to me all about any raises I might get. And there's a withdrawal rule of 4% as a guideline where you basically have this large, let's say that you save up this nest egg. Let's say you get to $1 million to make the math easy. You save $1 million, and can you take 4% of your $1 million every year, right? Which is 0.04 times 1 million, $40,000. Could you live off of $40,000? Well, if you're already living off of 75, that might be difficult, right? So maybe you need more than $1 million. This is what it's helping you calculate. So I think it's basically saying that I need to have a retirement portfolio of about $1.5 million. So now it talks about different ways I can save. Start early, actionable steps. It gives me some steps to take. So now I want it to get very specific. Use all of this information and build me a specific retirement plan that I can follow for the next 15 years. I keep hitting return, but I've moved my windows skinnier, and so it thinks it's on mobile, and then return generally sends the chat. Okay, so now what it's doing, it's building me a plan. Here's my age, here's my current salary with that 3% wage, here's my starting point, where I'm looking to get, and at retirement, I'm hoping to live off of roughly $58,000. Good luck with that. But maybe depending on where you live, you can. I could give it more information to make it more accurate there. But now it has built me out a plan. So here I am, years 1 through 5, what I should do, contribute 10% of my income. Here's the exact amount to my 401k. All right, also contribute to a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. They both have their advantages and disadvantages based on what you want to do. If you want to, you can ask Maple, what are the differences between these two? And which one's more beneficial for me based on my tax bracket now and later on in life, that kind of stuff. Years 6 through 10, it gives me recommendations. Years 11 through 15 gives me recommendations. And then within those portfolios, like how should I be allocating my investments? You can totally tell it what your preferences are, your risk profile, right? If you want to be more into stocks and less into bonds, you can take those recommendations and then tell it, well, no, I actually prefer this instead. Okay. Notice it hasn't recommended like Bitcoin or anything. So if you want to do that, you can recommend that, and it'll work that into the equation, right? So there's a lot of cool things here with retirement. Let's pick one more thing that we can go over so I don't, belabor this too much. Financial planning, debt, and credit. Okay, so improve my credit score. I like that. Let's pick that one. So let's go back and we'll type in, how can I improve my credit score? Okay. Now, one thing I want to say while it's thinking, this chat history is getting kind of long, right? So a reminder that when Maple chats, it takes everything from the history and puts it into every following question. You can't see it. I typed one sentence of, how can I improve my credit score? And then Maple silently copies everything up above and pastes it with my question so that the LLM knows what I'm chatting about, right? We're looking to improve that. We're gonna try and use some technologies that will make that happen less and make it more efficient. However, this uses up your credits faster. So if I open this up, now I'm at 1% of my monthly usage for credits. I was probably close to 1% already, but it has moved the needle slightly. So at some point, I'm gonna want to move to a new chat. Okay, how can I improve my credit score? Here are a bunch of tips and tricks on how to do that. Gives me 10 of them. Makes its own specific recommendation based on the 10, my credit card balance that I have, etc. Short-term goal, midterm goal, and long-term goal. That's awesome. So now I can get really personal with it. I'm not going to right now, but I could get personal and go back and forth. I could talk to it about my struggles, my job, maybe the kinds of things that I'm looking to buy on credit, refinance my mortgage, buy a car, that kind of stuff. And it can talk to me about how those will impact it. Open up a new credit card, close a credit card, all these things. It's great. You can have a personal financial friend here talking through some of these things with you. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is what I mentioned earlier in the video, and that is, let's say I've gotten to this point and I want to now move to a new chat so I'm not using up as many credits. Well, let's just take, whatever. I'll just copy it from here. So that personal wealth extraction that I did, I'm going to paste it in here and tell it, you are an LLM, grab all my financial information and give it to me. So that's what it's doing now. So the new information that I gave it is that I told it got a 3% raise at work. So it has updated that now and used the evidence that I told it, right? Let's see if it also does anything about the retirement. I didn't actually give it any new retirement information, just more ask questions about it. So it looks like most everything else is going to stay the same. I could have told it, all right, I'm bumping up my credit card payments or something every month. And then it probably would have updated that. But still waiting for this to finish, and then we'll wrap up this video here because we've already gone pretty long. But I hope this is helpful. If this is helpful, leave a comment. Let me know. I'm going to continue to produce more of this content for you and walk through how Maple can make your life more private and how you can use it to interact with other AI tools, because Maple doesn't need to be your only AI tool. I think Maple should be one of the tools you have in your AI toolbox. And it has very specific reasons for existing that can really help you out when you need more privacy and when you want to be more confidential with your information. And that can be for your own personal life like we're doing today, or it can be for work. You can do all sorts of things with your company data, your work data that you can put in here. And because it's end-to-end encrypted, you can rest assured knowing that we don't have that information. So you're not giving us your company secrets. Now, obviously, you need to work with your company's legal team if you're worried about that at all. So many people are already putting their work information into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT now has that information on them. We won't have that. So you can really use it, but verify things with your legal team first before you use any tool to share proprietary company information. Okay, so now I've got my prompt. Let's copy that and put it into a new prompt. So now I'm getting rid of all of that history that is eating up my credits and starting fresh, a new, fresh conversation about my personal finances. It is ingesting all of that, thinking and encrypting, and then I'll be able to ask new questions of it right here. Okay, great. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I hope it was helpful. What we covered in summary is, how do I extract my personal information out of ChatGPT? You could also do this with Grok or Claude. How do I extract my personal financial information out of an LLM tool and put it into Maple, where I can now have confidential conversations about my personal finances and know that nobody else is going to have access to it. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, share it with someone who is also working on their personal finances. It really helps us when you share this out with people, and hope that this gives you more insight into how you can use AI with confidence.